Good morning, all of you, and welcome to INIOS class. So we are going to start with class 10th biology, chapter 19th and module 5th. Yeah. So this is the chapter that is the classification of organisms. So in this chapter, we are going to study about how many types of organisms are there, and on this earth what types of organisms are present, and mainly in this chapter why there is a need of classification. So the basic thing regarding this chapter, that is the classification of organisms, chapter 19th of class 10, is basically to guide you how many organisms are present on this earth and how many categories are there of the different types of organisms on this earth. So before starting the chapter and before going into the deep of the chapter, we'll start with some of the facts of this chapter. So some of the facts of this chapter includes that many of you students know that in the solar system, Earth is the only planet which can sustain life. And every living organism over here is dependent upon the non-living things. Like as humans, we are dependent upon water. We are dependent upon air. All these are abiotic factors on the earth or the natural resource of the earth which are not living. Similarly, a plant is dependent upon the sunlight for the food resources. So every living organism is indirectly or directly dependent upon the non-living things. Next of all, that the living organism on this earth, every time when they start their life cycle, they'll start with the single cell. It won't happen like that a multicellular organism will appear in front of you. No, even if it is a human, the zygote will be a single cell. A single cell will give rise to a multicellular organism. The next important thing, there are many plants, you know, that they take sunlight and make their food, and they take nitrogen from the soil and they make their food. So similarly, some of the plants on this earth are there which are insectivorous. So basically insectivorous means they eat insect and they utilize all the things present in insect and the nitrogen to increase their metabolic activities. Some of things like fungi, mainly also known as fungus in common language, fungi, basically you eat it. That is what? Mushroom, which is available easily in the environment and it is a full of protein. The most important thing regarding this chapter is that sometime at the temperature of I think so 40 to 45 degrees Celsius or up to the 50 degrees Celsius, you feel a unease movement in your body, like you will feel like sweating and the hot and outside environment. But some of the organisms on this earth are still there which can survive on the 80 degree to 110 degrees Celsius of the temperature. Still, how they are surviving. So they have developed some of the mechanism to adapt that temperature and atmosphere. So what I want to say that in this chapter, we will found many organisms living deep oceans and the atmosphere and the air and the soil in the Arctic zones in the polar regions also. So, you know, there are wide variety of organisms present on this earth which are living in different conditions. So all these things are coming under the biodiversity. So in this chapter, we are going to deal with all those things which is related to the biodiversity, basically. So basically, what is biodiversity? First of all, it comes into each and every student mind that what it is. So whenever I am saying, one second. Let me share it again. Whiteboard, share. So whenever we are saying like biodiversity, so biodiversity means we found life everywhere. So when the life is everywhere, so we can say that it cannot be restricted to some area. So life everywhere means it can be on the north zone, it can be on the south zone of the earth, it can be on the temperate areas of the earth, or it can be in the tropical areas of the earth. So life is found everywhere on this earth, from single cellular to the multicellular. Whether the cell is single cell, whether the cell is a single cell, or whether it is a multicellular organism with many cells. So it is present everywhere. Next, I think everybody has seen the movie Jurassic Park. So Jurassic Park, what you have seen in that there are a huge reptiles present over the earth. But because of some extinction, they got extinct and mass extinction occurred and they wiped out from the earth. But you can believe that from the bacteria to the dinosaurs, basically a multicellular one. So from the bacteria to the multicellular one, we are developed a lot. So this is what making the biodiversity. So bacteria is what? A single cell, it consists of one cell, and multicellular consists of many cells. It consists of many cells. So from one cell to the many cell, the organism has been developed a lot. So on this earth, we have identified around 15 million species. We have identified around 15 million species. So in this 15 million species, we only know and named 2 million species, around 20 lakhs of species we have named. Rest is under process, they are being found on the earth. So this 15 million species on the earth, it's not easy to learn. You cannot remember, I think so, students, or the person, a human being is not a computer. They cannot remember all the 15 million names or the 20 lakh names of the organism. So including flora and including fauna, this is 15 million, and including flora as well as fauna, which we named is 20 million. 2 million. So that is around 20 lakh. So 20 lakh variety of organisms are there, which we cannot remember on our hand or on our tips. That is why there was a need for the classification of organisms. So because of this need of classification of organisms, what happened? We classified into the broad categories, like for animals, we said Animalia kingdom, and for plants, we said plant kingdom. So basically, these two broad categories consist of other organisms according to their evolution. For example, how it is being according to the evolution, if we'll say like this. If I say, just suppose, man is there and apes are there, and also monkeys are there. Although monkey and man share almost 99% of their DNA, they share almost 99% of their DNA. Still 1% is different. Still 1% is different. That is why we are calling them as monkey and we are calling us as a human. So this difference is due to the evolution. So how a ape is modified into man and a monkey still sharing some features comes under evolution, which we are going to study later or in this chapter, that what is evolution. So till now we have studied or we have learned that just the number of organisms is present on earth and they are found everywhere on this earth, and earth is the only planet in the solar system which can sustain life. What else we learned? We learned that around 15 million of species are found on the earth, in which we have named 20 lakh of species. We have named around, we can say approximately 2 million of species we have named till now. So the main thing is in this chapter that not only the number of the cell is different, but also the difference in various feeding habitats and the respiration and the reproduction also. If we want to classify the organisms on the basis of nutrition, for example, if I want to classify the organism on the basis of nutrition, how can I do? I can classify into two broad categories again, that is phototrophs and the other one is heterotrophs. Phototrophs, basically, what are they? Phototrophs are the plants, basically, you can say, which can synthesize their own food. So this phototrophs, you can also, just a second. Rather than saying it a phototroph, you can say it more convenient ways that they are autotrophs. So autotrophs and heterotrophs, autotrophs are basically which can synthesize their own food, okay, like plants. They can take sunlight and the raw materials from the surrounding like CO2 and the water, and they can make their own food. Unlike heterotrophs, what they do, they always depend upon the other organisms for their nutrition. So autotrophs are basically consist of two more varieties, which are photoautotrophs and the chemoautotrophs. So basically photoautotrophs are basically taking the sunlight like plants, and the chemoautotrophs are the basically you can say the bacteria which is taking the chemicals from the surrounding and making their food. So in this chemoautotroph, bacteria are there, and in phototrophs, plants are there. If we discuss about heterotrophs, there are three more categories in heterotrophs, in which first is Holozoic, second is Saprophytic, and third is Parasitic. Once. Third is parasitic. So what is happening in Holozoic? In Holozoic mode of nutrition, animals are taking a complex food, digesting them, and taking the nutrition from the simpler one. So like us or like other animals, what we do, we eat a complex food, our digestive system digests it, make it the simpler one, and then we take nutrition from them. So that is basically what the holozoic mode of nutrition. In saprophytic, what is happening? The animal is basically depends upon the other animal which can be dead. Okay, which can be dead. So these are known as saprophytic organisms. So they feed on dead and decayed organisms are the saprophytic one. Basically, all the fungi are saprophyte. The parasitic one type of nutrition is that nutrition in which there is a relationship of a host and the parasite. The best example of this is like a lice on a human. Lice, what they will do? They will take the blood from the head of the human and they will feed on the human. So here human will be the host and the lice is what? Lice is a parasite. So in this kind of relationship, in parasitic kind of relationship, the host has to be survived and it is necessary for the host survival so that parasite can also survive. If the host is dead, parasite will not live longer. So similarly, in reproduction also, we can classify the organisms on the basis of sexual and asexual reproduction. And in case of respiration, we can classify the organism on the basis of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So you see, not only from single cell to multicellular, we can classify on the other basis also. So it is based on nutrition, respiration, and also the reproduction. So we can say that there is a huge biodiversity present on this earth, which we need to study and conserve for our sake. If we want that human race should flourish, then we should need to conserve this biodiversity. And the rest of the NIOS syllabus you can learn by enrolling into the NIOS class, and I'll meet you there. And I'm just looking forward for the students to interact with me. And that's all. Goodbye for the students and all the best.